What up, Stank? All right, what's cracking, y'all? Back with another one. And just to get right into it, today we are going to get started on the LQ9 build. I've already kind of done some stuff off camera just because I hate filming a lot of the tedious stuff. You got to hold the camera, you got to be wearing headgear, all this blah, 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 blah. Some of you people like to see that kind of stuff. If you like to see that kind of stuff, let me know in the comments, and then I'll do more videos and stuff like that. But the way I like to do things is get part of the work done, then show it to you. Then once I get part of the work done and show it to you, then I can explain what it is that I did. And I don't know, it cuts down on time, makes it easy to edit, and blah, 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 blah. Anyways, here we go. We got our crank. Crank's already machined. We're 10 over on the crank because we had to cut the crank to clean it up. It didn't really need it, but I kind of wanted it as close to perfect as possible, so that's what we did. Got everything balanced, so the rods are already numbered. Pistons are literally the same size and the same weight. CP just does their thing, and they're great at what they do. And then all these right here, these are the rings, and then these are the rod bearings. I'm also running the coated bearings for the rods as well. Over here, our LQ9 block. We have our coated bearings already up in that piece, right? They're all in there, coated bearings, coated bearings, coated bearings. We do the coated bearings because it's a race setup. We got a little bit more clearance on top of them just being a more durable bearing. As far as the clearance goes, we need the clearance to float some oil. So right now, all the mains are about 2.9 to almost 3 thou. It is a little bit big, but it allows me to run a very heavy oil and float this crank the way I want to. Yeah, that's just how I set my motors up. Usually lowest at 2.2, highest at 3.2. I haven't set any crank at no 3.2. Normally it's like 2.9, 2.8 at the highest. And that's pretty much where this one is. So what I got to get done today is, what I'm gonna do right now is get this crank in here, get this all lubed up, drop the crank in, torque the crank down, locate the crank, do all that fun happy stuff, figure out what my thrust is. I may have to shave my thrust bearing. I'd really rather not have to shave my thrust bearing, but we'll see. I'm looking for maybe like 4 thou on clearance for the thrust bearing. The dart block has about 5.5 to 6 thou on that one. The reality is, I don't know, these bearings usually come pretty good on the thrust, and I really didn't have to shave it down, but I did. I guess we'll see how that goes with the longevity of that motor and how that feels with the way the crank moves and all that good stuff. But every time I do one of these, it's some kind of learning lesson based on how the motor was run and what I did with it, because not every build is meant to fit every style of driving, drifting, road racing, all that kind of stuff. Those motors are built per the sport. But a race motor is a race motor is a race motor, but they require different things for the type of racing you do. This one is a high revving V8. It's not super high, but it's high revving for what it is. Out of factory, this thing made maybe 5,500 RPM, 6,000 RPM. This thing will see 7,500, 7,600 RPM. The cam that I'm putting in this will be set up for that. The valves that I'm putting in this will be set up for that. And the springs that I put in here will definitely be set up for that kind of revving. I don't plan on running a whole bunch of boost to this thing, but I am going to run it enough to where I can accomplish at least 800 to 1,000 with this motor, because that's the power level I keep my car at. As far as what the dart block is capable of, that thing is capable of so much more, but the reality is I don't need that power. So that's more of the reliable build. This is more of the backup build, just in case anything happens with our dart block. But the reality is I'm just hoping that this motor will probably go into a whole nother build and I won't even need it. You know, as if and when that dart block comes out, it'll be to make it even better than what it already is. So I don't want to pull it out because it's a problem. But like I said, every motor I build, we're testing. We're trying to figure things out. We're trying to see what this thing can handle when it comes to my driving. Because I don't build motors for too many people anymore, to be honest with you. But I am still open to doing it. But the situation needs to be correct. I need enough of the information. I need the money up front when it comes to buying these parts. Because anybody who's doing this type of stuff, or anybody else, knows how expensive this stuff is, and knows how some people can be shady. You know, you can't take everybody's word for what it is. Money talks when it comes to doing this kind of work for somebody. So future reference for any of you guys ask me to build a motor for you, I'll spec out what needs to be done, and then I'll tell you what parts I'm looking for to get this motor built. Or if you have a list of parts that you want to put into a motor, we'll talk about it. And if I can sway you to do something better, or you got just the right parts, then we'll move forward with that. But if that's not the case, we're not doing that. I'm gonna spec your build so your motor will last. All right, so all the hardware is off. Now we just need to pull these caps. Once we pull the caps, we'll blow everything off. We'll wipe things down. Make sure I don't have no little particles in the motor, on the motor, anything like that. And then we'll commence with dressing this thing with these beautiful parts. These Cleveite bearings and rings, solid stuff. Other thing I want to show you guys, we upgraded pins. Those are the big boy pins for all the boost, okay? Now granted, I don't have the L19 hardware on this thing, but I got big pins on this. Depending on how this motor does, we may or may not change things in the future, but this is kind of like a test setup. I know these rods can probably handle more, but I didn't want to deal with having to resize these things. That's why I didn't L19 them. Now, with the 2000 hardware, the reality is I've had plenty of motors that I've built that have done 1,000 on stock hardware. The 2000 should be fine. I feel like the pin is more necessary than trying to worry about those 2000s. We're not doing 1,500 horsepower. We're not drag racing this thing. It's not going to stay up at the power levels this motor will make like that. It's a drift motor. So I just need it to be reliable and strong in certain areas, that being one of the areas. I think this motor will do great. I think if I can keep this motor around 800, 950, this motor will live. It'll be a very reliable backup as long as I re-ring it, re-bearing it, maybe if I can get 2 seasons out of it, it'd be great. 1 season, that's still good. In my opinion, you should be doing a refresh every season anyway. And I mean like literally like a full year or so, and then maybe like some summer stuff, you know. But we'll see how this goes. I plan on really diving deep into my driving again, so we'll see how it goes. I haven't taken myself seriously when it comes to my driving side of things, or even like staying on top of all these builds for myself. So we're going to try to do things differently. We're actually trying to make something out of all this money we've spent and all this time we've spent learning things and all that good stuff. Let's do something with this knowledge, you know. Besides making badass cars or half-ass cars because you're not following through, whatever it is, let's really make something nice. And from here on out, let's do just baller shit. Baller shit. Good driving, baller shit. Stuff that looks like you put your time and attention into it instead of just throwing piecing some shit together because you can. We're not doing that no more. we gonna make some good stuff. We're gonna treat all my personal stuff like I do customer stuff. I go above and beyond for customer stuff. I need to do my stuff like that too, as far as my driving goes as well. Anyways, enough of that jibber jabber. I'm gonna get some things done. All right, so got the crank in. Just gotta get these bolts put down. Things are ready to start being put together and put in the block. Crank's already put in. Just got to get these rings cut and assembled. We got our vise ready to go, so we can get the bolts loose. We can get them tight with the bearings, then mic everything. And once we're done with that, we can do our math and figure out where we are. It's not a lot of work, but it's work. So just got to get that done, and then we can move forward. So let's get it. It's like 6 on the dot. Top of the top, y'all. I am very tired, but I decided I wanted to get up and get some things done this morning. I have been falling behind on filming, haven't really had a chance to, so I figured I'd try to get this motor done today. Obviously not complete, but at least we'll get the pistons in today. So first things first, we got to check our bearing clearances. These are the rod bearings. This is a coated bearing. These are 10 over. Only because we had to do some work, some cleanup work on the crank, so. Last time we worked on this, we got the crank in, just spinning real nice. I've got some lube on here I gotta clean up. I did not do a, I located the crank, but I didn't see what kind of, what kind of travel we had as far as, how much crank walk will allow. Normally I like to see, I don't know, 4-6 thou max. I believe I set the dart block to maybe like 6 thou. This one, wherever it sits, to be honest with you, if it's sitting at 4, that's where I'm going to leave it. I'm not really worried about it. Feels good, doesn't feel tight. Like we'll be fine there. This is a factory crank. It's been run before. Like I said, I'm not worried about it. So we'll clean this up. We'll get this mic'd up. And then I do have a rod press that this is already sitting on. Already got number 1 in there. These are already loose. I just gotta get the bearing in, get it tight, mic it, or well, dial bore gauge it, and then check my stuff over here. My wife got me a really, really cool gift. Give me a second here. I had been meaning to buy myself some new mics, and I mean micrometers. And she bought me one of the most important ones. This is a Mitutoyo. This is a 2 to 3 inch. 2 to 3 inch will take care of everything main-wise. Realistically, this is not cheap. And this is a, Japanese tools. They're very good, very precise. So 2 to 3 inch, the
the 0 to 1 inch, and then the 5 inch, depending on your bore size, but 5 inch is, those are the other two that I'll be acquiring after this, but this one is the most important one, and she got me this one, which is freaking awesome. Thank you, baby. So yeah, we will be using that today. What I'll do is I'll take the mic and I'll check these clearances here. I'll see how big this is, how big this is, how big this is, how big that is. And then I'll take my dial bore gauge, which I have to get out of the box over there, and I'll put my bearings. I'll put my bearings inside of here. Dial bore gauge go inside, and then I will end up taking a. I'll take those measurements, and then I'll subtract one from the other, and I'll end up with my clearance. What are we looking for clearance on this? Well, what's realistically good? What do we want for clearance, you guys? You let me know. I won't tell you what I run, but you let me know what you guys think is best for clearance in the comments. And the reason why I'm not going to tell you what I run is because everybody runs something different. I want to know what you guys run. It's very controversial amongst some of the guys that I build motors with or against or whatever. So I think it's a pretty standard thing, but you guys let me know what you guys run your motors at, what clearances you guys go for. And then we'll talk about it after that. We'll go that route with it. But for now, I think I'll get this motor flipped over. Actually, I don't need to flip this over right now. I'll clean these off. We'll start, obviously, on the first journal. I'll clean this guy, clean the 2 cylinders. We'll check this one. We'll check number 1. We'll do 1 and 2, and then we'll move on from there. So I don't want to do all of them. I want to do maybe 1 and 2 cylinder, or cylinder 1 and 2, and then, see where we're at from there. But let's get started. Then measure it against whatever the size of the crank is. And there's a lot of back and forth measuring just to get a tolerance size. And then if the tolerance size is not right, then you got to buy a bigger bearing. Before you do that, then you're playing, you put this bearing here and put that one over there and just to accomplish maybe another. Anyways, you got to do what you got to do to get what you're trying to accomplish. You want big clearances, you got to do what you got to do. Anyways, this is where I want it. I won't be running anything like crazy like 2050 for this. I'm probably just going to run my 1030. Once this wears in, I'll probably do maybe like a 1040, but I don't want to do anything any heavier than that realistically. Maybe like this won't need it. It's not super tight. I think we're at like 2. I would have liked to have gotten about 25 or about 20 all the way across with everything, realistically. I'm happy with it, so whatever. It is what it is. Next time I do this, I think I'll try to go, get something that's got like 1 thou more of clearance. Just order a bearing that's 1 thou more of clearance because this is not a standard. This was a 10 over because the crank was cut. So, but I should have got a 10 over plus 1 thou extra clearance. So then, we'd been good. Anyways, let's see. She's a pretty girl. She's a pretty girl. She's a pretty girl. She's a pretty girl. So now that you guys can see her, we'll see. I don't really like doing this too much, but we'll do it so you understand how buttery smooth this thing is. I guess there's a better way to do this, but this is how we're going to do it. So you get the point. Anyways, I'll saran wrap this thing up, and then until we get some more parts for this thing, it will sit in saran wrap. Yeah, because I don't need this thing to rust. The machine work's expensive. The parts are not cheap, not super expensive, but they're also not cheap. So don't want to damage anything. I want the stuff to live. I want to have, you know, a nice finished product once I all put this all together. So I'll take my time buying stuff. I'm then no rush to put this motor together. Should I actually need it, all the parts this doesn't have, I have on another motor. So they're parts I would be buying for this anyway. So anyways, we got lifters we still got to get. I do have LS7 lifters. I do want to put the same Johnsons I have in the dart block and this. My plan is to take the heads off of that block and put them on this. Those heads are already built and ready to go. But I like to put the L92 heads on this, or LS3 heads, whatever you want to call them. Put them on this. And probably put the Frankensteins on the dart block. Just so that's all, you know, we can tell the differences. Like this is factory head, factory block. That one is completely aftermarket. That's the plan. And then this guy will just be the backup, you know, like this shouldn't need to see anything more than 800-900 horsepower. Like it'll probably be usable about 700-800 anyway. So, yeah, it's gonna need a valley cover, front cover, rear cover. Got an oil pump for it. All right, like I said, I got lifter trays. I got LS7 lifters. I'll probably get another intake manifold. Realistically, using this motor as the backup motor, like I want it completely dressed so I don't have to take that motor apart. Like if that motor has to come out, everything that's on that stays on that motor. Everything that's on this stays on this. So that's the plan. And then once I get this motor fully dressed, the plan is to build a JZ. Put some money into a JZ, build me a badass JZ, spend some time doing that. But I'm in no rush to put that in anything. I don't have anything to put that in. I just always said that I wanted to build one. And who knows, I might end up with another SC. I don't know, but the plan is to maybe get another one of those. And I don't know what motor is going to go in it, but I definitely want to put a JZ in something. So anyways, we'll see. Let me quit jibber jabbering. Probably going to end this here. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you later.